So we are just so lucky to have these two absolutely amazing women with us today. The first is Arcela Nunez Alvarez, who is the co-founder and the co-director of Universidad Popular, which is a grassroots community-based organization promoting health, education, and nurturing a culture of trust and civic participation in our nation's democratic process. A Chicana immigrant from Mexico who settled in San Marcos when she was 12 years old with nothing more than the clothes she wore. Arcela was raised by a single mom who worked tirelessly in sewing factories, earning minimum wage to afford the basic necessities for her 6 daughters. She understands firsthand the struggles immigrant families face in San Diego County and embraces the opportunity to serve and advocate for policies that will increase opportunities for everyone in our community. She is embedded within a community that she has herself helped educate and mobilize with historic civic and electoral firsts throughout North County. Being part of the movement to build people power has given her firsthand knowledge of the privileges and barriers affecting civic participation among immigrants and Latinx communities who are still grossly underrepresented in key positions. She is dedicated to promoting precious ancestral knowledge, community service, and civic participation. And just as a personal note, I first worked with Arcela when she was leading census efforts for Census 2020, and was just so impressed with Universidad Popular, which a friend had helped to fund, and just thought, this amazing woman, you know, I want to know her better. I want to support the work that she's doing. If you read the Union Tribune, you find Arcela's name mentioned constantly. She is being solicited for her views, for her activities, for, you know, what should we do, etc. So I want you to give a very warm welcome to Arcela. And I want to let you know, you are all going to have questions and comments that you will want to make for both of our speakers. Please use the chat function to do so, and we will make sure that our speakers are asked your questions. Okay, without further ado, Arcela.
Good morning. I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to share with you some of the work that we've been doing with Universidad Popular. I'm so delighted to know some of your members and to have had the opportunity to work alongside them on a variety of projects. Just can't thank you enough. I'm going to share my screen just to guide me through some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you this morning. So bear with me just a second. And I apologize as well. I'm still recovering from COVID. I'll tell you a little bit about the work that we do in response to COVID, but unfortunately, a lot of our community leaders and community members have been out in the front lines doing this work, and we've had a disproportionate exposure, you know, to the risk. Yes. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But let me begin just by saying that Universidad Popular would not exist without the support and really the vision of so many community members, including some of your own association members. So we started Universidad Popular about 12 years ago with a group of community leaders, community organizers, because we saw there was a big gap within our community for education but more specifically, community education, what we call educación popular. So we got together without any funding, really. We started hosting classes out in the community to bring information and knowledge that we thought our community members could greatly benefit from. We started meeting at community centers, at churches, at the local library, specifically in Vista. And that's actually where we met some of you. So it's been a long trajectory for us, but a very organic one. Organic in that it's been led by community members ourselves. We started doing this work on a volunteer basis. At that time, I was the research director at the National Latino Research Center at Cal State San Marcos. So I began mobilizing dozens of my students at Cal State San Marcos to go out into the community. We would take information about citizenship, for example, youth programming, cultural studies, and that's really where we started, just from this idea that it was important for community members who had not been given the opportunity to learn, to be involved, and to really participate in the civic processes of our community. So over the years, we've been in the process of formalizing Universidad Popular. And right before COVID hit, a team of us, 4 of us, decided that we were going to take this informal sort of coalition of community leaders into an actual formal organization. So unfortunately with COVID, some of these creation and consolidation processes have been somewhat delayed, but our work did not stop. In fact, it only increased because of that demand for information and for education. So our community leaders, a network of dozens of just folks from our community, have been very involved even during COVID. We utilize the idea of education and empowerment as sort of the guiding force behind our work. We wanted to provide a process that would be very responsive to our community, driven and led by the community members themselves, and bringing in this notion of cultural empowerment so that we were able to provide spaces and programs that were directly coming from our own community, honoring and respecting traditions and beliefs and knowledge that we've lost in some cases, looking for ways to bring it back. And our work is really centered around civic engagement. As educated women, all of us Chicanas, we were the first in our families to go to college, to have the opportunity to actually gain formal knowledge about our history and culture. We felt that it was very important to be able to infuse that knowledge into all the work that we do for the purpose of rooting our community, our experience and our knowledge and our ability to participate into every aspect of civic life. So for us, civic participation is really at the core of our mission. We want to ensure that folks who have never had an opportunity to be involved civically understand how important it is for our community to participate in the democratic process and in everyday decision making. So we focus on three main areas, but really our teaching, the spaces that we create, and the programs that we uplift come from the community. We respond to what the community members are asking us to do. We involve them in the decision-making process. We come up with curriculum together. So the last really 5 years, we've been very focused on promoting civic participation across the whole North County region, promoting health and wellness, but most importantly for us as educators is continuing to uplift education in every aspect and in every space where we are at. So civic engagement for us responds again to the fact that as immigrants, we have not been well represented in the democratic process, in every city across North County. So being able to share with our community how government works, where we can influence decisions in our community, how we can build relationships with elected officials, and ultimately, how can we build grassroots leadership so that we are able to really nurture our own leaders who are coming out of our community and prepare them to take positions in commissions, in offices that are making critical decisions in our community. So civic participation is something that we've been doing, we continue to value, and we're definitely seeing our work have an impact. In every city across North County, we've been able to support and to build actually political campaigns where some of our own students are now in elected positions. We began doing education, talking about voting, engaging people, many of them for the first time in this process. And we were so successful that we essentially have been winning campaigns, and have had the first elected officials, including my own sister, Maria Nunez in San Marcos, our friends and colleagues, Consuelo Martinez in Escondido, Corina Contreras in Vista, and Ricardo Favela in Fallbrook, Stephanie, and the list goes on. And this all in a period of about 5 years, but more specifically since our last election cycle. Many of you have been present at our ballot parties and have seen how we do that education. So we can't wait to be able to get back in person. We did a lot of hours of community education around the census because we understood how important it was for our community to be counted. We know that this is such a foundational step in securing representation. So we spent the entire year before COVID, during COVID, promoting the census, getting record numbers of participation in many of our cities. In fact, in the city of San Marcos, we had the largest increase in census participation in the entire county from the previous decennial count. So slowly we've been able